So the meeting is called to order at 7:02 p.m. Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, January 27, 2026 Finance and Property Standing Committee public session. Today in attendance in person we have Trustee Carolyn Butterworth, Trustee Ron Lin, and online we have Trustee Michael Chen, Trustee Nadeem Mahmood, Trustee Pamela McCarthy. Oh, in person we have Trustee Pamela McCarthy, and online we have Trustee Melanie Wright. Trustees, please raise your hand if you have any questions. Your name will be added to the speakers list and I will recognize you when it is your turn to speak. Now we will move on to the land acknowledgement, and I will invite Trustee Carolyn Butterworth to provide it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We affirm that we are all treaty people and acknowledge that the York Region District School Board is located on the lands of 2 treaties. These treaties have been signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the First Nations of the Williams Treaties, who are the Mississaugas of Alderville, Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Scugog Island, and the Chippewas of Beausoleil, Rama, and Georgina Island, who is our closest neighbor and partner in education. To honor this agreement, we will take up our responsibility to be respectful of their traditions, knowledge, and inherent rights as sovereign nations. We will respect the relationship with these lands and recognize that our connection to this land is through the continued relationship with these First Nations. And we acknowledge our shared responsibility to respect and care for the land and waters for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Butterworth. Our first item is the approval of the agenda. Without objection, the agenda shall be approved. Is there any objection? Without objection, the agenda is approved. The next agenda item is the declaration of conflict of interest. If any member of the Finance and Property Standing Committee has a direct personal interest or direct or indirect pecuniary interest in any matter being discussed during this meeting, please state the conflict and the nature thereof. Hearing and seeing none. Now we will move on to the approval of the minutes. So the minutes of the November 25th, 2025 Finance and Property Standing Committee public session have been distributed to all committee members. Do we have any corrections to the minutes? As there are no corrections, the minutes are approved as presented. Now we will move on to the information items. First, the construction projects, new elementary and secondary schools, and additions to schools. I would like to invite Senior Manager Gerard Paris to speak to the first item. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, everyone. Please refer to Appendix A of the Construction Project Report, which can be found on page 7 of your package. Since our last meeting in November, there has been one change to the Ministry of Education approved construction projects that are currently underway. In early December 2025, the Ministry approved capital priority funding for the unnamed Bercy Glen Secondary School. This project has been added to Appendix A as the second last project. The site is located in the new subdivision on the southwest side of Elgin Mills Road East and Warden Avenue in the city of Markham. Facility Services has retained the services of Hossack and Associates Architects for this project. Site plan and floor plan designs are currently underway. The first project milestone for the unnamed Bercy Glen Secondary School will be the site plan application submission, which is scheduled for July of this year. That concludes the update for this month. And if there are any questions on the report, I'll be glad to answer.
Thank you very much. Trustees, do we have any questions? Trustee Lin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to express my thanks to staff too, to Senior Manager Don Adams and entire team for the capital priority application throughout with the increasing population and families. And I am very glad to see from Manager Paris share this secondary school addition to our priority list. So I just want to share my acknowledgement on behalf of the community, and we continue to monitor closely around our whole region on our student needs and get the proper school for them. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. So I see there are no other trustees on the speakers list. So thank you very much. The next information item is the 2025-2026 revised estimates. For this, I would like to invite Controller Sabrina Wang to speak to this item. Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Ms. Chair. The information report for the 25-26 revised estimate can be found on page 9 to 14 of the agenda package. School board are required to submit a revised budget by December 15th each year, which need to capture the updated enrollment and other changes after the school year begins. So this report provides a detailed comparison of enrollment, revenue, and expenditure changes against the original budget approved in June 2025. So as showing on the table 1 and 2 of the page 10 on the agenda package, the board's enrollment continued to reflect a notable decline trend. If you recall, at the time of the original budget in June 2025, we projected a decline of over 1,500 in regular day school and more than 300 visa students compared to 24-25 school year. The revised estimate now reflects a further decline of 1721 regular day school students across both panels. This is partially offset by a small increase in the visa student, which reflect a slightly conservative approach used during the original budget. So overall, the total enrollment is down approximately 1,552 students, about 1.2% compared to the June budget assumption. This continued decline is driven by a broader external factors, including changing the federal immigration policies, decline birth rate, which you can see in the continued reduction in the JK-SK enrollment. That means we have a longer term of trend rather than a temporary fluctuation in the enrollment. Also, the housing affordability and the cost of living pressures in the York region. So if we translate into the revenue with financial terms on page 11, the most significant driver for the revenue is the core education funding, which is decreased by 10.8 million. That is because core education funding is student-based in nature. And there are also partial offset. Miscellaneous revenue increased by 600 million, driven by higher international student tuition fee, but offset by the lower interest income, which driven by the lower interest rate. The responsive education program funding increased by 300,000, reflecting additional funding allowance received after the original budget was approved. So overall, the revised operating revenue for 25-26 school year is 1.761 billion compared to 1.772 billion in the original approved budget. The total operating revenue has decreased about 9.8 million. So if we are looking at the expenditure change on the page 12, the budget has been realigned to reflect a revised enrollment and funding levels. The key adjustment including staff allocation and organizational change, which including teachers and DEC allocation, any retirements and department realignment. Those adjustments reflected the deliberate consideration for class size and compliance with the collective agreement and aligned the staff and resources with current enrollment level. Other refinements reflect more current information such as transportation cost and insurance rebate, which wasn't available at the time of the budget development. So after those measured steps and realign resources, the expenditure is being reduced by 9.8 million, allowed us to maintain a balanced and a compliance budget for the 25-26 school year. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Controller Wang. I'd also like to acknowledge that Trustee Jenny Chen has joined the meeting online. And now, do we have any questions from the trustees about this item? Trustee Mahmood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Question back to Senior Manager. I am looking at, so this is good that you were able to find the savings somewhere and then it is balanced to 9.8, right? It looks like that's exactly the same number. We're just trying to see, and that definitely number is a number, it's a projected number, right? I'm just curious that on the page, the last table you have on that, page 5 of 6 is showing on my, sorry, my agenda item. It's showing a 9.8 million, 10.8 million reduction in Mrs. grant, including core education funding. So that's on your revenue side. And 0.6 is miscellaneous revenue increase and REP 0.3 increase. And then that net is 9.8, which you presented before. But on the expense side, 9.8 exactly is saving, but where are the details you just mentioned that it's savings from retirement or some other things you presented, right? I'm just trying to find that information.
Thank you, Trustee Mahmood. Controller Wang, thank you.
Through you, Ms. Chair, the adjustment will reflect the automatic adjustment for the teachers and the DECE based on the class size, which align with the updated enrollment. And that was, the savings were showing on the table, it's not a table, on the page 12 of the chart. You can see the reduction on the instructional day school. And also, the board has made a decision if there's a retirement or resignation. Some of the positions are held or filled by the temporary position, or it's not being replaced. So that provides some saving as well. And all of those positions we're talking about is a central position, except the automatically reduced based on the formula for the school-based.
Thank you. So that's okay. That's good, Mr. Chair. I was thinking that I was going to be asking the question that what are these positions? So thank you for explaining that these are central positions and not going to impact our schools, right? So this is good. Thank you very much. That answers my question.
Thank you. Next, we have Trustee McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for that overview. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So you're just giving, this is just an update. You gave us the budget at the beginning of the June last year, and this is just, you're just giving us an update. This is what we projected. This is what the actual cost, right? And then with this information, you're going to go ahead and project for next year, and then at June, that's when we finalize those numbers. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Chair,
that
Mr.
is-
Chair?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. And just one more follow-up. Just want to make sure I had my bearings right. And then my next question is, I just don't understand the capital debt interest. I understand that operating budget is different from capital budget, but the debt interest comes onto our operating spreadsheet. Is that what I'm understanding, or am I understanding that incorrectly?
The
Thank
capital
you.
debt interest is the interest which charged on our long-term debt. Those long-term debt is actually was borrowed for the capital project, or if those interest is funded through ministry core education funding. So it's dollar to dollar matched. For the presentation purpose, we just we have listed that as a revenue because the interest expense is recorded in our expenditure side. So, but it is ministry funded through core education funding.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it for me. Well, I have 1,000 more questions, but for another day. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McCarthy. It seems that there's no one else on the speakers list, so in that case, we will move on to the next information item. So next, we have the first quarter financial report, and for that, I would like to invite Controller Sabrina Wang to speak to the item. Thank you.
All right, the next item is financial information report for the first quarter ends on the November 30th, 2025. The Appendix A details the department expenditures incurred during the first quarter and with a comparison to the same period in the previous year. You may notice some of the department expense spending fluctuate due to the timing of the expenditure. That is due to the temporary staffing vacancy or like one-time items such as insurance premium rebate in the business services department, or for the IT, you can see there is overspending, which is continuation of an elementary reporting card project. Those explanations for such a fluctuation is provided in Appendix A as well. So by the end of first quarter, the board has spent roughly 24% of the total budget. This is proportionally on track at this time of the year, but as you know, this is a very early look of our financial position. We are still continue to monitor the expenditure closely, and we will provide updates in the second quarter. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Controller Wang. Trustees, do we have any questions? Trustee Mahmood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Thanks for providing the footnotes on some of the items where could have potentially some questions, right? Where expenditures are either lower than prorated or higher. I do have a question on learning resource services, and I think the footnote around, it says number 5, which is that Q1 expenditures were higher than expected due to the nature of the operating expense, which includes subscription costs paid early in the school year. Quick question is that paid for the yearly subscription at the beginning of the fifth year, or is it just that some payments are done now and some will come later on? That's first question. And similarly, second question you can take at the same time. Last item, non-operating expense, which is showing up 7% percentage Q1 actual versus the 2025 projected expense. The footnote says that it's lower because non-cyclical nature of the program. But these are non-operating expenses. If you want to give an example so that we can clearly understand it. Thank you very much.
Controller Wang.
Yes, through you, Ms. Chair, I'm going to try. So for the learning resources, most of our subscriptions is for the annual cost, and it was typically paid at the beginning of the school year. That's why you will see the expenditure high in the first quarter. You will see that catching up in the next few quarters, and the trending it is actually align with what the previous historical percentage. And for the non-operating expenditures, that contains some items like data expenditures, like secondment expenditures. Some of those expenditures are not proportionally through the timing of the year. Their spending timing is through at the end of the school year. So that's why you can see typically the spending is lower in the beginning of the year. The interest payment is based on their interest schedule. So it is not at the like on a monthly basis.
Trustee Mahmood?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's what I was expecting, but I just wanted to confirm it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have Trustee Butterworth.
Thank you. Just a quick question of clarification. So on the bottom of that chart under the note to the statement, the elementary report card project, is that with the new report card that came in place, is that the project?
That's correct.
Controller Wang?
Yep, through you, Ms. Chair. That's correct. That's a new project started in 24-25. It has not been completed so far, but it will be, I think, by Q2 of this year, the project will be finished.
Thank you very much.
Trustee Butterworth?
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm good. Thank you, Chair.
Perfect. Do we have any other questions? All right, so with no questions, we'll move on to the next item. That concludes our information items. We have one decision item on the agenda, which is the resolution for the 2026 operating and capital borrowing. For that, I would like to invite Controller Jana Lagaev to speak to the item.
Thank you, and good evening, and through you, Mr. Chair. The decision report for the 2026 operating and capital borrowing resolution can be found on page 19 of the agenda package. And the motion before you tonight, essentially, if passed, allows staff to establish an operating line of credit in the amount of $100 million and a capital line of credit in the amount of $250 million. Periodically, the board may borrow funds for current operating purposes to provide interim financing until revenues are received from municipalities and the province. The board did not borrow any funding under operating resolution in 2024-25 school year, and it's recommended that the 2026 borrowing authority or line of credit remains at $100 million. In addition, the board may borrow funds to provide short-term financing during the construction of capital projects until funds, such as capital priorities or school condition improvements, are received from the province. The board may also use the short-term financing to acquire sites before education development charges are received. As of August 31st, 2025, the board borrowed $68 million against the capital borrowing resolution to finance several land purchases. In view of the capital projects in process and planned for 25-26 school year, it is recommended that the 2026 capital borrowing authority remains at $250 million. Please see attached borrowing resolutions, appendices A and B. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustees, do we have any questions? All right, so it appears that we don't have any questions. Now, may I please have a motion to approve the following recommendation, that the York Region District School Board approve the following recommendations. One, that the York Region District School Board approve the operating borrowing resolution remain at $100 million. And two, that the York Region District School Board approve the capital borrowing resolution remain at $250 million. Trustee Butterworth moves the motion. Any opposed? The motion to approve is carried. Now we'll move on to the date of the next meeting. So the next Finance and Property Standing Committee public session is scheduled for February 24th, 2026. Seeing that there are no further questions, we will move to adjourn the Finance and Property Standing Committee public session at 7:28 p.m. If there are no other items of business, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you to trustees, committee members, staff, and presenters for joining tonight's public session.